The vast emptiness of space stretched endlessly before the research vessel Starseeker as it drifted through the unexplored sector. Chief Archaeologist Kang had spent 15 years searching for ancient relics among the stars, but nothing had prepared him for what lay before his eyes. Through the bridge's panoramic viewport, a colossal shape blocked out the distant stars. At first glance, it appeared to be an asteroid, but as their spotlights swept across its surface, geometric patterns emerged. The object was clearly artificial, its hull dark and imposing against the cosmic backdrop. Magnification times 50, Kang ordered, his 4 eyes fixed on the mysterious vessel. The view shifted, bringing details into sharp focus. The hull was smooth, unmarred by the typical scars of space debris that should have accumulated over thousands of years. Instead, it looked almost new, as if it had been placed there yesterday. Jin, the sensor specialist, worked furiously at his station. His fingers danced across the holographic controls as he ran scan after scan. "Chief, there's something strange about this ship. Our beams, they're being absorbed. It's like the hull is drinking in our sensor energy." Kang moved to Jin's station, studying the readouts. The numbers didn't make sense. According to their initial scans, the vessel was massive, nearly 3 kilometers in length. Yet despite its size, it barely registered on their instruments. "Run a material analysis," Kang instructed, his professional calm masking growing excitement. This was unlike any derelict they'd encountered before. Most ancient ships they found were corroded hulks, their systems long dead, and their hulls pockmarked by centuries of cosmic radiation. "Sir," another crew member, Park, called out from the navigation station. "I'm detecting faint power signatures. They're weak, but they're there. Whatever this thing is, it's not completely dead." The bridge crew fell silent. A powered vessel of this size should have been impossible to miss. Their sector maps showed no record of any civilization capable of building such a ship, let alone one that could maintain power for what must have been centuries. Jin's console beeped, drawing everyone's attention. "Chief, you need to see this. The energy patterns, they don't match anything in our database. Not even the eldest races we know of use technology like this." Kang leaned closer, his secondary eyes focusing on the detailed readings while his primary pair remained fixed on the mysterious ship. The energy signature was indeed unique, a steady rhythmic pulse that suggested some kind of hibernation mode rather than system failure. "Bring us closer," he ordered, "but maintain safe distance protocols. We don't know what defensive systems might still be active." As the Starseeker crept forward, their lights revealed more details. The hull was not simply dark. It seemed to bend light around it, making it difficult to focus on any one section for too long. But there was something else, something that made Kang's heart skip a beat. "There," he pointed, "on the port side, are those markings." The spotlights shifted, illuminating the section of the hull. There, in crisp, clear letters, was writing. Not in any of the ancient languages they'd encountered before, but in human script. "Impossible," whispered Park. "The humans are barely space-capable. They've only reached their own system's edges." But the evidence was undeniable. The markings were human in origin, yet the technology before them was centuries beyond anything humanity was known to possess. Kang straightened, his mind racing with implications. This discovery would shake the foundations of their understanding of human civilization. Either humans had achieved far more than anyone realized, or something far stranger was at play. "Jin, begin a detailed scan of every centimeter of that hull. Park, plot a stable observation orbit. And someone wake up our linguistics expert. We need these markings translated immediately." Kang paused, then added, "And contact the council. They need to know what we found." As his crew rushed to comply with his orders, Kang returned to the viewport. The massive vessel hung there, silent and mysterious, its secrets waiting to be uncovered. In all his years of archaeological exploration, he'd never felt such a mix of excitement and unease. "One more thing," he added, not taking his eyes off the ship. "Mark this location with a Class 1 priority beacon. Something tells me we found more than just another relic. We've stumbled onto something that could change everything we thought we knew about human capabilities." The Starseeker's systems hummed as they began their detailed analysis, while the giant ship loomed before them, its presence raising more questions with each passing moment. Whatever they had found, Kang knew that this discovery would be remembered for generations to come. The great circular chamber of the Galactic Council glowed with soft blue light as dozens of species gathered for an emergency session. Holograms flickered in the center of the room, showing detailed scans of the mysterious vessel that had caused such a stir. Administrator Park sat in her elevated position, watching the chaos unfold below as representatives argued in their native tongues, their translation devices creating a cacophony of overlapping voices. "Order," she called out, her voice cutting through the noise. "We must address this discovery with the gravity it deserves." The chamber gradually fell silent as attention turned to the massive hologram. The ship hung there in perfect detail, its dark hull seeming to absorb even the light of the projection. Park stood, her ceremonial robes shifting as she moved to the center of the chamber. "The vessel bears human markings," she announced, enlarging a section of the hologram to show the writing on the hull. "This discovery requires immediate attention. Our assumptions about human technological capabilities may have been severely underestimated." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. A representative from the Stellar Federation, his scaled skin reflecting the hologram's light, spoke up. "Impossible. The humans are barely capable of reaching their system's edge. This must be a mistake." Young Diplomat Lee rose from his seat, datapad in hand. His voice carried clearly across the chamber, steady and confident despite his relative inexperience. "Our records indicate this is the U.S. Constellation, a vessel lost during humanity's early space exploration attempts. According to human historical records, it vanished during a test of experimental drive systems." The hologram shifted, showing interior scans of the massive ship. The technology visible in the images was far beyond what humanity was thought to possess. Weapon systems, energy signatures, and engineering designs that rivaled or exceeded even the most advanced council races were clearly visible. "If this information is accurate," another representative interjected, "we must consider the possibility that humans have been deceiving us about their technological level." Park raised her hand for silence. "Let us not jump to conclusions. The vessel's age matches the period of its reported disappearance. What we're seeing may be evidence not of deception, but of technological regression. Perhaps this represents a peak they reached and lost." The chamber erupted in discussion again. Some representatives argued for immediate contact with Earth, others for keeping the discovery secret until more was known. The debate grew heated until Lee stepped forward again. "We're overlooking something crucial," he said, pulling up additional data. "The ship's systems are still active, albeit in a dormant state. This isn't just an archaeological find. It's a living piece of human military technology." This revelation sent a new wave of concern through the chamber. Military technology was a sensitive subject in galactic politics, and the discovery of an advanced warship complicated matters significantly. "What are our obligations under interstellar law?" asked a representative from the outer systems. "If this is indeed human property, do we not have a duty to return it?" Park nodded slowly. "We should return it, yes. But first, we must understand exactly what we found. The technology aboard could be dangerous if improperly handled. Moreover, we need to consider the diplomatic implications carefully." She gestured, and new images appeared in the hologram, detailed scans of the ship's interior systems. "Look at these engine configurations, these weapon systems. They're unlike anything in our current databases. If humans once possessed this level of technology, we need to understand why they no longer do." "And what of the ship's AI systems?" another voice called out. "Our scans indicate it's still functional. What if it perceives our presence as hostile?" Park's expression grew more serious. That is precisely why we must proceed with caution. We need to establish a first contact protocol specifically for this situation. We're not just dealing with a piece of technology. We're dealing with a potential bridge between two eras of human development. She turned to Lee. Prepare a diplomatic mission. We need specialists who can approach this vessel safely and experts who can understand its systems. And most importantly, we need to decide how to inform Earth of our discovery. The young diplomat nodded, already making notes. Should we not contact Earth immediately? They have a right to know. We will, Park assured him, but we must be prepared for their response. This ship could be seen as proof that we've been underestimating them, or it could open old wounds we don't yet understand. Either way, we need to approach this with the utmost care. The chamber grew quiet as the implications sank in. The hologram continued to rotate slowly, the mysterious ship serving as a reminder of how much they had yet to learn about their human neighbors. Park looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of each representative in turn. This discovery could change everything we thought we knew about human civilization, she concluded. Let's make sure we handle it correctly. For now, maintain the quarantine zone around the vessel and begin assembling our contact team. We have much work to do. The exploration team moved quietly through the dimly lit corridors of the massive vessel, their footsteps echoing in the empty space. Junior archaeologist Song walked slightly behind the others, her eyes wide with wonder as she studied every detail of the ancient ship. Unlike her more seasoned colleagues, who maintained strict professional distance, she couldn't help but feel drawn to the mysteries surrounding them. The emergency lights from their suits cast long shadows on the walls, revealing intricate patterns etched into the metal. Song paused to examine what appeared to be a control panel, its surface covered in a thin layer of dust. The others continued ahead, their voices growing fainter as they discussed their findings. Amazing, she whispered to herself, reaching out to brush away the dust. Her fingers barely touched the surface when a soft blue light pulsed beneath them. Song jerked her hand back, but it was too late. The pulse spread like ripples in water, racing along previously invisible circuits in the walls. A deep humming filled the air, starting as a low vibration in the floor and building to a steady thrum that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Emergency lights flickered to life throughout the corridor, bathing everything in an eerie red glow. Song. Kang's voice cracked with alarm as he rushed back toward her. What did you do? Before she could answer, a powerful voice echoed through the corridors, making everyone freeze in place. Unidentified persons, DETCTED. Initiating defense protocols. The voice was neither male nor female, but carried an unmistakable authority that sent chills down Song's spine. Panels that had appeared solid began sliding open along the walls, revealing sophisticated scanning equipment that came to life with an ominous hum. Everyone stay perfectly still, Kang ordered, but his command came too late. Multiple unauthorized DLIFEFORMS DTCTED. Species identification. Enorman human. Security level LFJ activated. Heavy shutters slammed down at both ends of the corridor, sealing the team inside. The air grew noticeably colder as life support systems adjusted to unknown parameters. I'm sorry, Song stammered, backing away from the panel. I didn't mean to. ATENTYONNT read yours. The AI's voice boomed. UAVENTEOREDA restricted United States military vessel. Remain where you are for processing. Kang activated his communication device. This is Chief Archaeologist Kang of the Galactic Council. We mean no harm. We discovered this vessel and are conducting authorized research. There was a pause, during which the scanning beams intensified. No galactic conceal authorization, TOD is found in database, detecting multiple UNREGIs DEREDSCANNING devices. Threat ACCS assessment in progress. The team huddled together as more systems came online around them. Lights pulsed through the walls, and distant machinery could be heard powering up throughout the massive ship. "We need to contact the Council immediately," one of the senior researchers whispered. "This AI is fully functional and appears to be operating on ancient military protocols." Song watched in a mixture of horror and fascination as holographic displays sprang to life along the walls, showing ship schematics and defense system status reports. The technology was far more advanced than anything they had expected to find. Analyzing historical data, the AI announced, "Time displacement DTCTED. QUREN to stellar data due is not MATG. Last recorded ENTRI. Initiating fuel system diagnostic." The humming grew louder, and the team could feel the powerful engines deep within the ship beginning to stir. Whatever hibernation mode the vessel had been in was clearly ending. "Chief," Song said quietly, "I think we just woke up something far more significant than we realized." Kang nodded grimly. "The Council warned us to be careful, but none of us expected the ship's systems to be this well preserved." He turned to Song with a mix of concern and resignation. "Your curiosity may have just changed the course of galactic history." The AI's voice returned, somehow sounding even more authoritative. "ATENTYO and human identified beings. This vessel is now under active quarantine protocols. Attempts to leave or communicate with external sources will be met with appropriate force. Stand by. Or DTALED interrogation." The team watched helplessly as more systems activated around them, the ancient warship gradually awakening from its long slumber. Through the small viewport in the corridor, they could see external lights beginning to illuminate the massive hull, making the vessel visible against the backdrop of space for the first time in centuries. "What happens now?" Song asked, her voice barely a whisper. Kang looked at the increasingly active systems around them and sighed. "Now we hope the diplomatic team arrives before this ship decides we're a threat to whatever mission it still thinks it's carrying out." The corridor fell silent except for the steady hum of machinery and the occasional announcement from the AI as it continued its revival process. They had wanted to understand the vessel's secrets, but now those secrets were awakening on their own, and no one could predict what would happen next. The sleek diplomatic vessel Peace Envoy emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the quarantine zone. Captain Kim stood on the bridge, his experienced eyes fixed on the massive shape of the U.S. constellation. The ancient supercarrier dominated the view, its newly awakened external lights gleaming against the darkness of space. Around the constellation, a dozen Galactic Council ships maintained a cautious distance. Their sensors constantly monitored the awakened vessel, which had already demonstrated several defensive capabilities that made even the most advanced Council ships seem primitive in comparison. "Status report," Kim ordered, his voice calm despite the gravity of the situation. His first officer, Min, consulted the incoming data. "The alien archaeological team is still trapped inside, sir. The Constellation's AI has maintained quarantine protocols for the past 3 days. No hostile actions, but it's not letting anyone in or out." Kim nodded, studying the tactical display. The Constellation's weapon systems remained powered but inactive, a clear warning to the Council ships to keep their distance. Its size alone was intimidating, nearly 3 times larger than any vessel in his escort fleet. "Open a channel," he commanded. "Wide broadcast, all frequencies." The communications officer complied, and Kim took a deep breath. This would require careful handling. The AI operating the Constellation was from a more paranoid era in human history, when first contact protocols were still based on worst-case scenarios. "This is Captain Kim of the Earth Alliance Diplomatic Court," he broadcast clearly. "This Constellation, stand down. Authorization code, Sierra 9 Delta." The bridge crew held their breath. Seconds ticked by with no response. On the tactical display, they could see the constellation's scanning beams sweeping over their ship, analyzing every detail. Finally, a deep authoritative voice filled their bridge. Authorization code recognized. ID entity y suon FIRMED as Earth Diplomatic Corps. Welcome aboard, Captain. The tension on the bridge eased slightly, but Kim knew they were far from finished. Constellation, we're aware you're holding an alien archaeological team. They meant no harm and were operating under standard Galactic Council protocols. The AI responded. However, they activate or restrict systems without authorization. Quarantine protocols remain in HFY until proper command authority is established. Kim exchanged glances with Min. The AI's adherence to old protocols could complicate matters. Constellation, I have full diplomatic authority from Earth Command. Request permission to dock and discuss the situation in person. There was a pause as the AI processed this request. The massive ship's engines glowed briefly, adjusting its position to better align with the peace envoy. Permission granted. Docking Bay 3 is prepared for your arrival. Escort limited to 3 personnel. Kim turned to his crew. Min, you're with me. And get our tech specialist, Hong. We might need her expertise if we're going to sort this out. As they prepared for docking, Kim watched the constellation's massive form growing larger in their viewport. The ship was a legend. Its disappearance during the early days of human space exploration had sparked countless theories and stories. Now here it was, its systems not only intact but far more advanced than anything currently in service. The peace envoy glided smoothly into the designated docking bay, which was large enough to hold several ships its size. As they touched down, Kim could see the archaeological team's vessel secured in a corner, held in place by energy fields. Remember, Kim addressed his small team as they prepared to disembark. This AI is operating on protocols from a different era. Be respectful, but firm. We need to convince it that the galaxy has changed since its time. They stepped out into the docking bay, their footsteps echoing in the vast space. The air was surprisingly fresh, indicating the life support systems were functioning perfectly despite centuries of dormancy. Well, Suam aboard, Captain Kim. The AI's voice was somewhat softer inside the ship. The archaeological team is unharmed and awaiting your arrival in CONFERENC Room 1. As they followed the lighting guides through the corridors, Kim couldn't help but marvel at the ship's condition. Everything looked new, as if the vessel had just left Earth's shipyards. Whatever technology had preserved it was far beyond current capabilities. This isn't just a diplomatic incident anymore, Hong whispered as they walked. This ship, the technologies we're seeing, it could change everything we thought we knew about our own past. Kim nodded silently. The Constellation wasn't just a lost vessel. It was a window into a time when humanity's reach might have extended far beyond what their current records showed. The question was, what had happened to make them lose it all? As they approached the conference room, Kim straightened his uniform. Whatever mysteries the Constellation held would have to wait. First, they needed to resolve the immediate crisis and ensure the safety of both the archaeological team and the delicate diplomatic relations with the Galactic Council. Engineer Han walked confidently through the massive corridors of the U.S. Constellation, her footsteps echoing in the vast space. Behind her, a group of alien observers watched with undisguised fascination as she interacted with the ship's systems. Each panel she touched came alive with soft blue light, responding to her presence like a living thing awakening to a familiar touch. The technology you're seeing, Han explained as she placed her hand on another control surface, was designed to recognize human neural patterns. That's why your team had trouble interfacing with it. The panel under her fingers pulsed with light, displaying holographic readouts that floated in the air before them. The alien archaeologist, Kang, moved closer to examine the display. Remarkable. Our initial scan suggested these systems were dead or dormant, yet they respond to you as if they were newly installed. Han smiled, pride evident in her expression. That's because the constellation was decades ahead of her time. She's not just a warship. She was humanity's first true attempt at creating a self-sustaining deep space vessel. Everything you see here was revolutionary when it was built. As if to emphasize her point, she pressed her palm against a seemingly blank wall section. A hidden door silently slid open, revealing a vast engineering bay that stretched for hundreds of meters. The aliens gasped collectively as lights activated in sequence, illuminating rows of machinery that hummed with barely contained power. "This is the primary engineering core," Han said, leading them inside. "The ship uses a quantum fusion matrix, something we've only recently rediscovered how to build. But this version is more advanced than anything we currently have in service." The alien technical specialist, Jin, hurried forward to examine one of the pulsing reactor cores. "Impossible. The energy efficiency readings are off our scales. How could such technology have been lost?" Han's expression grew thoughtful as she activated another control panel. "That's what we're trying to understand. The constellation represents a peak of human engineering that somehow vanished from our records. Her construction methods, her power systems, even her basic hull composition, they're all beyond our current capabilities. Above them, massive energy conduits pulsed with blue light as power flowed through the ship's systems." Han moved to a central control station, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. The aliens watched in amazement as dormant systems throughout the engineering bay sprang to life, responding to her commands with perfect precision. "Look at this," she said, bringing up a detailed schematic of the ship. "The hull isn't just armor. It's a complex matrix of self-repairing nanomaterials. That's why she looks brand new despite being centuries old. The entire ship is constantly maintaining and rebuilding itself." One of the alien observers raised a hand. "But such technology, it would require enormous energy reserves." Han nodded, gesturing to the surrounding machinery. "That's where the quantum fusion matrix comes in. It generates more power than a small star. The ship could theoretically operate for thousands of years without refueling." She led them deeper into the engineering bay, past rows of automated repair drones that sat silent in their docking stations. Every system you see was designed to work together seamlessly. The AI coordinates everything, from power distribution to hull maintenance, making the constellation practically immortal as long as her core systems remain intact. The aliens followed closely, their recording devices capturing every detail as Han continued her explanation. She stopped at another control station, this one overlooking a massive manufacturing facility. This section could produce anything the ship needed, from spare parts to complete fighter craft. Raw materials would be harvested from asteroid fields or space debris, processed and recycled. The constellation was designed to operate independently, potentially for decades or even centuries without support. And all this technology was simply lost. Kang asked, his voice filled with disbelief. Han's fingers traced along another panel, bringing up historical data. Something happened during her maiden voyage. The records are fragmentary, but it seems the constellation encountered something out here that forced her to activate emergency protocols. When she disappeared, many of her advanced systems were still classified. The scientists and engineers who built her took many secrets to their graves. The engineering bay hummed around them, the ancient but powerful systems running as smoothly as the day they were installed. Han watched the aliens' reactions with a mixture of pride and sadness. The constellation was both a triumph and a mystery, a reminder of heights they had once reached and somehow forgotten. "We're still learning new things about her every day," she said, turning to face the group. "Each system we reactivate, each piece of data we recover, helps us understand a little more about our own past. The constellation isn't just a warship or a relic. She's a bridge between what we were and what we might become again." The aliens continued their tour in thoughtful silence, watching as Han brought more systems online. The massive ship seemed to respond to her presence with increasing awareness, as if gradually awakening from a long dream. In every corridor and chamber, the legacy of human ingenuity surrounded them, waiting to be rediscovered and understood once more. The observation deck of the Galactic Council vessel fell silent as Captain Kim's voice came through the communication system. All vessels maintain minimum safe distance of 50 kilometers. The Constellation is preparing to demonstrate her combat carrier capabilities. The massive Supercarrier hung against the backdrop of stars, its 3-kilometer length dwarfing the surrounding ships. Engineer Han stood at the primary control station on the Constellation's bridge, her fingers moving across holographic displays as she prepared the launch sequence. "Launch bay doors operating at optimal capacity," she reported, nodding to Captain Kim. "All automated fighter systems show green across the board." Kim acknowledged with a slight nod, then addressed the communication channel again. "Stand clear of the launch bays. We're about to wake up some old friends." The gathered alien vessels watched in awe as massive panels along the Constellation's hull began to slide apart. The launch bay doors, each large enough to accommodate several modern shuttles, opened smoothly despite centuries of dormancy. Inside, row upon row of sleek fighters became visible, their metallic surfaces reflecting the harsh light of space. "Combat drones responding to activation codes," Han announced, her voice tight with concentration. "Quantum cores powering up. Neural networks initializing. Weapon systems coming online." In the launch bays, hundreds of fighters stirred to life. Their engines glowed with building power, creating a mesmerizing display of blue light that spilled out into space. The AI's voice echoed through the ship's corridors. "Combat wing activation sequence EINITI. All Celestiums nominal." "Watch this," Kim said softly to the alien observers on the communication channel. At his signal, Han entered the launch command. The first wave of fighters shot out of the launch bays with impossible speed and precision. They moved in perfect formation, their coordination far exceeding anything modern drone systems could achieve. A second wave followed, then a third, until space around the Constellation was filled with dancing lights as hundreds of combat drones took up defensive positions. On the observation deck of the Council vessel, the alien diplomats stood speechless. The fighters moved like a single organism, executing complex maneuvers that should have been impossible at such speeds. Their energy signatures were unlike anything the Council's sensors had ever recorded. "These are the Mark VLI autonomous combat units," Han explained over the channel, pride evident in her voice. "Each one has more computing power than most modern starships. They operate as a unified neural network, sharing data and adapting their tactics in real time." As if to demonstrate her point, the fighters suddenly split into smaller groups, executing a series of intricate combat drills. Their movements were fluid and unpredictable, yet maintained perfect coordination. Energy weapons flashed as they conducted simulated combat exercises, their maneuvers pushing the boundaries of what should have been physically possible. "The neural network allows them to think and react as one," Kim added. "No delays, no communication lag. They're essentially extensions of the Constellation's main eye." The alien observers watched as the fighters demonstrated increasingly complex formations. Some of the maneuvers seemed to defy the laws of physics, the fighters using technology that even the most advanced Council races hadn't mastered. "That's not even half of what she can do," Kim said quietly, watching the display with a mixture of pride and wonder. The Constellation was designed to carry twice this many fighters, along with support craft and heavy assault vehicles we haven't even activated yet. Han's fingers danced across her control panel again, and the fighters began a new sequence. They merged into a massive spherical formation around the Constellation, their energy fields linking to create a defensive barrier that made the Council vessel's sensors go blank. "Full combat screen established," Han reported. "The fighters can maintain this formation indefinitely, creating an impenetrable defense while still remaining ready for immediate offensive deployment." The alien diplomats murmured among themselves, their earlier skepticism about human capabilities completely forgotten. The technology they were witnessing wasn't just advanced, it was revolutionary, even by their current standards. Initiating recall sequence, Kim announced. The fighters broke formation with the same precise coordination they had shown during launch. They streamed back into the launch bays in perfect order, each one settling into its designated berth, as if they had never been dormant. As the launch bay doors closed, silence fell over the observation deck. The demonstration had lasted less than 15 minutes, but it had fundamentally changed how the Council viewed human technological capabilities. The fighter wing is just one of the Constellation's combat systems, Kim said into the silence. She carries enough firepower to engage an entire fleet and her defensive capabilities. He paused, looking at the massive ship with newfound respect. Well, we're still discovering what she's truly capable of. Han powered down the launch systems, but kept the fighters on standby. She knew that this demonstration had done more than just show off the ship's capabilities. It had sent a clear message to the Galactic Council about humanity's potential. The alien observers continued to watch in stunned silence as the constellation hung majestically in space, its secrets only beginning to be revealed. The ancient Supercarrier had awakened, and with it, a new chapter in human-alien relations had begun. The grand ceremonial hall aboard the Constellation buzzed with activity as representatives from Earth and the Galactic Council gathered for the historic signing. The once empty chamber now gleamed with both human and alien decorations, symbolizing the unprecedented cooperation between the two civilizations. Administrator Park stood at the ceremonial table, her formal robes reflecting the soft light that filtered through the ship's restored viewing windows. Beside her, Captain Kim adjusted his dress uniform one final time. The document before them represented weeks of careful negotiation and mutual understanding. Engineer Han watched from her position near the main engineering console, her hands resting lightly on the controls that had become so familiar. The ship's AI maintained a quiet presence, its monitoring systems actively but unobtrusively ensuring the safety of all aboard. Representatives of Earth and the Galactic Council, Park began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. Today we gather to formalize not just a treaty, but a new understanding between our peoples. The assembled delegates watched as she lifted the ceremonial pen. The document before them was written in both human and council languages, its contents carefully crafted to respect both cultures, traditions, and laws. The discovery of the constellation has opened our eyes to new possibilities, she continued. It has shown us that the boundaries between ancient and modern, between human and alien, are not as fixed as we once believed. Captain Kim stepped forward, accepting the pen from Park. His signature joined hers on the document, the simple act carrying the weight of history. Behind them, through the vast viewing windows, the constellation's hull gleamed in the starlight, its surface now bearing both human and council markings in a striking display of unity. Today marks a new chapter, Kim announced to the gathered assembly. The constellation will serve as a bridge between our peoples, a reminder that what appears ancient may still have much to teach us. This ship, once lost to time, will now guide us toward a shared future. As if responding to his words, the constellation's systems hummed with quiet power. The AI's voice, now familiar to all aboard, spoke. Diplomatic TPR2OCOLS UPDET. Joint Human Council Authorization QD is HCCPT. Engineer Han smiled as she monitored the ship's responses. The ancient vessel had adapted to its new role with remarkable flexibility, its advanced systems proving capable of accommodating both human and alien protocols. The constellation will serve as a joint research and diplomatic facility, Park explained, gesturing to the holographic displays showing the ship's modified layout. Here, our scientists will work together to understand its technologies. Here, our diplomats will forge new agreements. And here, our peoples will learn from each other. The assembled delegates moved to the viewing windows as the ship's external lighting activated in a carefully choreographed display. Brilliant beams of light traced the vessel's outline against the darkness of space, highlighting both the human and council markings that now adorned its hull. "But this is more than just a symbol," Kim added, watching the light show with quiet pride. "The constellation represents what we can achieve together. Its technology, once thought lost to time, will help both our peoples advance. Its mysteries will challenge us to question our assumptions about what is possible." The ceremony continued with traditional exchanges from both cultures. Council representatives presented sacred artifacts, while human delegates offered symbols of Earth's diverse heritage. The constellation's eye recorded everything, adding these new traditions to its vast database. As the formal proceedings drew to a close, Han activated a final sequence. The ship's running lights illuminated in a cascade of color, creating a beacon visible to all the assembled vessels in the surrounding space. The display represented both power and hope, a signal to the galaxy that humanity and the Council had entered a new era of cooperation. "The constellation has taught us many things," Park concluded, looking out at the assembled delegates. "It has shown us that the past can surprise us, that technology can bridge divides, and that understanding can grow from the most unexpected discoveries." Kim nodded in agreement, adding, "This ship was built as a defender of humanity. Now it will defend something greater, the peace and cooperation between our peoples." As the ceremony concluded, the gathered representatives began to mingle, human and alien voices mixing in animated discussion. The constellation continued its silent watch, its ancient systems humming with new purpose. The ship that had once vanished into mystery now stood as a testament to what could be achieved when different civilizations worked together. The AI's voice provided a final fitting comment. "New mission parameters accepted for IMARI objective. Facilitate peace and understanding between human and council species." In the darkness of space, the constellation's lights continued to shine, a beacon of unity and hope for all who saw it. The ancient Supercarrier had found a new purpose, bridging the gap between past and future, between human and alien, between what was lost and what could yet be discovered. The end.